20 minutes, I'll be covering on this topic, which is publishing with H-index journals. And I hope that after the session, I get some queries from participants. So I know that this is the active participation. So starting with this, so basically, when we talk about publishing with H-index journals, the question comes to our mind that how should we prepare a manuscript? What all it takes to publish with these high-indexed journals. So we know that there are different categories of publications. It can be listed publications. There are index publications, Scopus indexed, or Web of Science indexed. And within Web of Science, also we have different categories. So it can be SCI, it can be SSCI, and ESCI, and so on. So how do we prepare our manuscript so that it gets accepted? What are the key points that we should remember so that we can prepare a quality manuscript? So that is the agenda which I wish to cover in this entire session. So when we talk about a research paper, there are certain necessary things which we need to include. We know that in a nutshell that we all know about this, that how a research paper looks, correct? But then what it makes a normal research paper to a paper which gets published in high index journals. Okay, so we know that a research paper is a research paper, but then why some papers are only get accepted for high index, but not others? So when we talk about the main components of paper, here are those title, first of all, which is very important. So when I talk about title, however, I will brief you about each and every area which I have taken here. When we talk about title, the title basically should reflect to the reader or the reviewer that what your study is all about. So take 8 to 10 keywords which will capture the entire attention from your readers. If your title is not interesting enough, your manuscript will not go ahead. And it's not only about publication. Maybe the reviewer will pay attention and will take efforts to read your full script. But your readers, if they don't like your title, if they don't find value in your title, and they feel that there is nothing for them, they might not even read your abstract. And in that case, what happens? You don't earn citations for your papers. So it's basically all interconnected. So once your title convinced your author, your readers and your reviewers, then they'll take efforts to go to your abstract. Abstract and title basically is the crown of a research paper. So once your title is appropriate enough to gain the attention from readers, abstract comes. What all we need to include in abstract? Abstract should be very structured. It should capture all highlights about your research paper. When I read your abstract, I should feel that, yes, this is the paper I wish to read full. Because then there is something which I can take away for my research or for general knowledge. When we talk about abstract again should include a little about the introduction, what your study is about, how have you conducted this study, what are your key findings, what are the methodologies that you have adopted, what's your sample size, from where you have taken data, how did you analyze your data, and how your study is going to help, how innovative you are in the research which you have conducted. What is the novelty of your research? So these are some important points that one should include in the abstract. And then comes the keywords. Sometimes we are confused that keywords are the words which are the most frequently words used in our study, but no, that's not the case. Keywords are something which makes it more searchable. If people search for consumer behavior, or people search for research methodology or green branding or packaging or 4Ps, okay, or financial inclusion, it should appear. So that's why you need to choose your keywords very wisely and appropriately. Then comes introduction, and then review of literature, research methodology, analysis, conclusion, and references. I'll cover each in detail now. So as I told you about the entire manuscript, there are certain basic key preparations which we need to keep in mind. So first of all, you need to identify an area. How do you choose your topic? That on which topic you need to conduct your research? Who will tell you? Yes. So this topic or the problem statement or maybe the area of your research can come from various resources. It can be based on your expertise, or it can be based on your interest, or maybe the specific need to the conference which you're submitting, or to the journal you are submitting the paper, and what is the theme of these. So based on that, also you can prepare your paper, and accordingly you will identify an area on which you want to prepare a manuscript. When you're gathering information, you need to apply the digging approach, which means you keep digging more and more and more, and you reach to your final research gap, where you come to know that, yes, I do not want to do the studies which have already been done by previous researchers, and this is the exact thing which I wish that I should implement. So this is how digging approach will help you. Once you have actually identified the research gap, that nobody else has done this particular aspect of a particular area, let's say consumer behavior, and then you talk about different geographies, and you talk about comparison of different brands, or you talk about different demographics and their comparisons, that how it affects. So in those cases, a digging approach really helps you to find your research gap. So until you're satisfied that your research is truly novel, you need to keep doing this. Okay, keep searching for articles, keep searching, keep reading papers, keep reading associated books with it, the literature, which helps you to tell you more and more. And you don't only need to search for the contemporary, you also need to go back and see the traditional theories which are applicable in your area, so that you have the full knowledge that what has been done so far. And from there, you need to make a base of your research. Also, you need to keep in mind that your research should be applicable for at least next 10 to 15 years. Because if you are doing something which is already being done or will be obsolete so soon, you will not get your manuscript accepted for high quality journals, because the research should remain valid for upcoming years as well. So you need to choose your topic very wisely in that case. And then once you have done all this homework, once you have done all these exercises, finally you need to choose a tentative title. Still, I will say it is tentative, because until I frame my research objectives or research problems, or I'm very much clear that what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do, you keep it as a tentative title. Okay. Don't be in that pressure that first I will decide my title and then in the end I will follow it as it is. No, it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes the study needs that you need to improvise on your title as well, the way it goes further. Okay, so we call it as tentative title unless we finish our study. And the problem to be addressed through research that also you need to finalize at this stage, which again is based on your research gap which you have identified. Once you have done this, then you need to finally write your introduction part. Now, what is basically introduction? Introduction is when I'm opening the topic. There I'm telling people that what has happened, what is happening, and what I'm intending to do. So there actually you will be opening your problem statement. So this is the background which establishes a base, a foundation for you to write your research paper. It should be so interesting that it creates a curiosity in the mindset of readers and reviewers that what this study is all about. I wish to read it. It is very much interesting. It is very much applicable and it is practical. So this kind of curiosity should be created when you're writing your introduction. It is not just writing paragraphs and providing citations. It should have connect. It should not be there just for sake of writing it. Each and every word, each and every sentence should be linked and it should have a meaning. So you need to refine it n number of times, read it yourself n number of times before you actually finalize it. Ask yourself that whatever you have written in your introduction part, why I have written this, why it is required for readers. And if you find it is unnecessary, delete it. Okay. So find meaningful information which is relevant. This is the basic difference between normal research papers and high quality research papers. So authors spend a lot of time in reviewing their papers, their manuscripts themselves before actually sending it for publication. So take feedback on your papers before actually you send it for publication, and write everything which is relevant. There should not be even a sentence which is irrelevant, which is there to fill the space. That is not the style in which we write manuscripts of high quality. Next, we talk about an example. Let's say when you are talking about the introduction. So if your research addresses impact of gender on FMCG shopping, so you need to include information in your introduction section. So first you need to talk about that what is FMCG, because you need to assume that you are in one paper telling readers from start to end so that they understand, they can connect that what is happening and what can happen. Okay, so you need to tell them that what exactly is FMCG, from where the terminology is being introduced. Okay, then you need to open about FMCG industry, who are the major players, what is happening, what has happened, how the trend has improvised over the years, what is the historical data, and then what is happening in FMCG industry at global level. And also you need to include that what actually is happening at your country level, in whichever country you are actually planning to conduct your research, which addresses the problem that what is the impact of gender on FMCG shopping. Okay, whether there is any difference in male and female, that when they do FMCG shopping, they show the same behavior or they show different behavior. So that kind of study I want to conduct in that case. And then also you need to take references from previous studies where this kind of problem has been addressed in different ways. So you also need to provide information there that what is the statistics about shoppers based on gender. Are there any historical references available? Please include those as well, so readers know that what exactly has been done. Okay, and then with this, you need to close the introduction part with the purpose of study and how are you going to address it. Okay, so what this study is all about. So now from there, you have actually told them that this is what has happened. And now finally, you have identified your research gap, that this is how my study will be different from others. This is something I'm going to add to the body of literature. So this is the way we write a good introduction. Then comes review of literature. So introduction basically tells you about the area in which you have picked up your topic and the surroundings of it and what has happened into that particular area. But when I talk about review of literature, I am actually including previous studies done by researchers in this area or around it. Normally, people get confused at what is the difference between introduction and review of literature, because in both the things, I am actually giving references of previous studies or the area in which I have picked up my research. The difference here is, first thing is that your review of literature is the foundation for you to build your hypothesis. Okay, so here you are giving the theoretical background, which is helping you, supporting you to build your hypothesis. Second thing, in review of literature, you are including the studies which are done by previous researchers, whereas in introduction section, you are telling about the reference about the problem which you have picked up. Okay, so there are two different things. So review of literature tells you from the execution perspective that what already has been executed in the area of research which you have taken for yourself. Whereas introduction section tells you that in your problem area, what all has happened so far. Okay, so this is different from each other. And finally, you will be summarizing and providing the research gap. From here, actually, your study starts. So once you have identified, clearly given the problem statement and also given the research gap, then comes the methodology part. How are you basically going to execute? If you can't execute, no matter how good is your idea, you will not go forward with it. So it is very important that in the beginning itself, we check that whether data is available or not. If it is available, from where I will be collecting it. If I can collect it, will I have access to this database or not? Will I get any permissions to access that database or not? Do I have respondents? Will I get their consent? Will I be able to administer my interviews or questionnaires or observations? What is the type of research I want to do? It is exploratory or descriptive. So my suggestion here is that you pick up a good big book on research methodology and keep it with you always, because it helps you basically to choose that what exactly is the best fit for your study. Okay, so your research can be quantitative or qualitative. So tell us in methodology itself that what kind of research I am expecting from you to do. It is for readers. When I talk about high quality research, it is from the perspective of readers. You want to provide, that's fine. But what readers want to understand, what reviewers want, so that connect has to be there. So give them complete information. If your research methodology is not clear, if there is ambiguity, your paper has very high chances of getting rejected. This is one area where most of the papers gets rejected. So be very careful about it and give a proper sequence of the process which you are going to follow. Normally, researchers who are not very much clear in the approach of research methodology, they are not able to do the execution also. So which means it is very poorly executed research. So what exactly you promise in your abstract or in the title or in your objectives or problem statement, because you have not designed a clear methodology, your research is poorly executed. And the result is your findings will be misleading. So what exactly you promise to your readers, you are not providing them. So in that case, you are not providing a quality research. So again, it can be rejected. Okay, so you are telling them clearly that what is the location of the study, what is the scope, what is the feasibility, how are you collecting the data using different methods. If it is questionnaire, then how many questions, how did you validate your questionnaire? Okay, who has designed this questionnaire? If you're talking about interviews, that how are you going to conduct the interviews, how many interviews you will conduct, how will you process those interviews, what tools and techniques you will be using. If you're talking about the secondary data which is already been published, you will be telling us that for how many years you are referring to this data, from which databases you will be getting this published data. So all that should be clearly defined, because it is very simple if you're not telling your readers that from where all this information will come, which means you yourself do not have any idea about it. So in that case, readers will not expect any quality outcome from your research, because you have not given them a clear plan. Okay, and then you also need to tell them the data analysis plan, that how are you going to process the information, if it is qualitative or it is quantitative, which data analysis software you will be using, which version you will be using, and if let's say you are using SPSS, then what specific test you are applying to get that result. So let's say if you want to apply ANOVA or t-test or factor analysis or correlation or regression or any kind of other test, in that case, you need to be very much clear that this is my objective, this is the data I'm collecting, and this is how I will be analyzing it. If all these things are in place and you have done the writing correctly, in that case, you get very high chances of getting your manuscript accepted. Next comes analysis. So give them a proper plan and do it with keeping in mind your objectives. Why are you analyzing the data? Just to generate tables, just to fill chapters, or to generate graphs, or to make it look more glamorous? If this is the objective, no. This is not the way we do the data analysis. What is your research objective? Go back to problem statement. How are you going to frame your objectives and how are you going to fulfill? If your objectives can be fulfilled only using frequency tables or descriptive analysis, in that case, you don't need to go for the heavy analytical tools because you are able to meet your objectives. Normally, when people are doing PhD or they are writing papers for Scopus or Web of Science, they will apply structural equation modeling or big tables of pattern analysis or discriminant analysis, which does not even required if you need to fulfill your objectives. So please look into the objectives and see how are you going to fulfill them. Just for adding tables, just for adding numbers in your paper, don't do the data analysis. So whatever is required, that much only please do. It is a very wrong notion that if you apply latest analytical tools, Python or R programming or structural equation modeling, your paper will be selected. No, it doesn't happen that way. The reader or the reviewer will look for the quality writing and the research outcomes. And from beginning till end, do you have that kind of clarity in everything or not? I hope I'm clear here. So that's how we need to focus on our data analysis. In the end, we talk about the conclusion. So conclusion should include the summary of your findings, the interpretation basically, implications of research, who is going to use your research, what is the outcome, okay, who are the stakeholders, and what are the limitations. Maybe it is the sample size, maybe it is the location, maybe it is the audience, or maybe it is the country, or maybe it is the analytical tools, or maybe the number of years or months you had to finish your study. So all that come in the limitation of your study. And in the end, we talk about further scope for future researchers. So this is how we actually conclude the study. When we talk about references, these are the most commonly used styles for referencing. It can be APA, 6th or 7th edition. It can be Harvard or it can be MLA. But again, if you are writing it for specific journals, you need to go to the journal guidelines and look into their specific guidelines and prepare your manuscript accordingly. High quality journals generally have their own templates, generally have their own structured abstract templates, manuscript number of words, guidelines, referencing style, and sample manuscript will also be there. So if you are submitting a paper for IEEE or Emerald or Sage or Springer, they all will follow different styles. So please go through the guidelines given by the journals. As I am telling you that we are talking about high indexed publications. So in that case, you actually need to go for the publisher's website and look into the specific guidelines and follow. If you ignore those guidelines, you will face desk rejection, no matter how good your paper is. So these are certain things which you need to keep in mind. In the end, when you're done with all these subsections, again, go back and fix everything from beginning. From the beginning till the end, whatever you have done so far, after the complete execution of your research, now you know whether the title which you have framed earlier, is it valid now also, or you need to rephrase it. If required, fix it. Then again, go back to the abstract. Once you finish your entire research, then only you should write your abstract, because then only you are in the position to write a quality abstract. Some people think that, okay, order is coming in beginning, so I should write the abstract before I finish my study. But how are you going to finish your abstract unless you know everything about your research? So my suggestion is that once you conclude your paper, the writing is done and you're satisfied with your research findings and everything, then only you should attempt to write your abstract, because believe me, you will be in a position to write a quality abstract in that case, because now you understand everything what has happened in your research. And then you pick up keywords which are important and also popular, so that your study gets selected when people Google or search in different databases about those keywords. Okay, so this is how you need to smartly pick up those keywords. And then comes formatting of paper. No matter how good your writing is, but if you have not done a proper formatting, okay, let's say you are not providing the space, or you're not providing the bolding of the titles, or you're not following the table style, or you're not numbering the figures or the charts which you're providing in a manuscript, or you're not formatting the paragraphs or the APA styling references which you are providing, or everywhere it is so clumsy that people are not able to even read the text what you have written. It should be very neat, clean, simple. So that's how you should finish the formatting once the entire writing is being done. All this you need to do before you are actually thinking to submit your paper. It's all about writing and also about the representation. How good your study is in terms of presentation, so that readers should not feel, oh my God, what this kind of formatting is being done. It is horrible. I can't even read it. Because if you are not professional in formatting, it actually tells a lot about the researcher, that researcher is not organized. So please be very much careful when you are completing your research about the formatting, the page margins, setup, okay, the spacing between lines or paragraphs, everything should be very much clear. And once you are done with all this, now you go for selection of an appropriate journal for publication. See that what you have done and what is the journal which actually has the best scope for your topic in their theme. Because if your theme mismatches, if your paper title or the area in which you have written the paper and the journal's area mismatches, no matter again how good is your writing or manuscript, you will face desk rejection, and they will mention that because this manuscript doesn't come under the scope of our journal. So go and check which is the appropriate journal for your manuscript. Again, it takes time. It is not if you think that I'll just simply Google and find a journal and submit my paper. No. There are more than 33,000 journals listed in Scopus itself, and you need to choose one journal out of it. It will take time. It's a tedious process. You have to be very much careful while selecting a journal. So again, I'm telling you the difference between normal research paper publications and high index paper publications. You need to go for quality journals, check their indexing, check their abstract, check their standing, okay, on SCI website or Web of Science website, that what is the impact factor, from how many years the journal is in the Scopus or in Web of Science, is it something predatory? All these things you need to check, and then finally select a journal for publication. And then once you have selected a journal, you will receive the guidelines on its website. You will receive a template on their website. And you need to convert your manuscript according to the style which they are asking for. Again, it can be sometimes disappointed. You might feel that, okay, I have prepared the entire manuscript and the AP 7th style, and they're asking for Harvard. Now, what do I do? If you are actually willing to publish a paper with that journal only, yes, you have to change according to their requirements. They will not compromise on any of those things. Okay, so please, you need to convert your papers into their desired template. If you don't do this, you again face desk rejection. So when you're talking about
Dr. Varsha.
Yes. Sorry?
You have 1 minute left for
okay.
the presentation.
I'll just quickly wind it up. So now when we are talking about writing for Scopus, so in that case, you need to see that from beginning till end, it should have a good connect, and the research should be novel in its approach. At least when you're communicating to the readers, it should be very much clear. And when we talk about literature survey, you need to tell that how serious you are, how determined you are in providing a research gap to the audience. If you are not convincing them that that research is required and I am addressing this particular problem in correct manner, then they will not read your papers. Okay, high quality pictures, table formatting, everything should be done. And the most important thing which I always tell to researchers is do what you promise. Deliver what you have promised in your abstract or in your introduction or in your objectives or methodology, because in the end, what happens is that if you are not providing them what you have promised in your research objectives, they will be disappointed. They might not come again to read your papers. They might not cite your papers. So this is what is very much important. And the second part is connect. There should be a connect from beginning till the end, and nothing should be there which is irrelevant. So those things should be done. The flow should be continuous. You don't need to do the zigzag thing that one place you are saying something, another you are telling something else, and then there is no connect. You are confusing your audience, and then they will not like it. Okay, this is the word limit that you can write your papers. When you're talking about high quality journals, it should be a lengthy script. Too short scripts will not be appreciated. So at least from 15 to 18 pages, it should be, everything should be clear. Visibility should be very much clear. Citation should be clear. More number of references should be used, and proper formatting has to be done. So this is all I wanted to say. And these are some links which will help you to find your journals, to find appropriate journals. So you can go to a Scopus website, or you can go to Elsevier website. And then there are different websites which will help you to check the journal ranking or the standing, that how credible that particular journal is. What's their track record in terms of impact factor and everything. So all these things you should check once before you actually submit your papers. So these are some important links. Yeah, so this is about it from my side.